Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of What's Really Going On in America. It's a question I ask every day when I wake up. And and, and as much as we would like to think that the world is getting better just because we win a few battles, we're actually losing. We are censored to death. We're getting censored by the very people that we are supporting, and the businesses that won't censor us, we're not helping. And we keep funding the Democrats by shopping, by giving our money to their donors. And if it's a big company, more than likely they are the ones funding the big companies. They're the ones that's getting subsidies, hurting local businesses. But speaking of a small win, and I say that very heavily, before we, if you do want to support us at What's Really Going On in America, consider getting a shirt that I like to call Unit for Unity. It is in my hopes that everyone would get. I get people in my area to get these shirts. Downtown Allentown to get these shirts. And I hope you do too. I don't care if you're leftist, rightist, whatever. Yes, human lives matter. And so I spent a quarter of a day, nearly all 4 hours, watching the committee against Cheatle, the ex-director of Secret Service, who could not do her job. I'm glad she resigned, but before I give you my thoughts, I want you to hear something AOC had to say. Now, let me know if it makes sense to you or not.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Cheatle, respectfully, what you had just laid out about 60 days. We are currently in the midst of an especially concentrated presidential campaign in the moment. That is also paired with, of course, elections happening across the country that are happening in about 100 days. So the notion of a report coming out in 60 days when the threat environment is so high in the United States, irrespective of party, is not acceptable. And I think it's very important to understand that. This is not theater. This is not about jockeying. This is about the safety of some of the most highly targeted and valued targets internationally and domestically in the United States of America. So the idea that a report will be finalized in 60 days, let alone prior to any actionable decisions that would be made, is simply not acceptable. It has been 10 days since an assassination attempt on a former president of the United States, regardless of party. There need to be answers. Again, this committee, this is not a moment of theater. We have to make policy decisions, and we have to make them now. We do. And that may be and that may require legislation. That may require policy that we must pass in the immediate term. And without that, we are flying blind. So the lack of answers and the lack of report is just simply not something that we can accept here. Director Cheatle, is there a standard perimeter that the Secret Service establishes around an event, or are those perimeters independently determined per event and scenario?
There is no standard. Every event and every venue is different and treated as such.
So each event has a different perimeter that is established depending on the logistics of that event. Now, you established earlier that the building upon which the shooter operated from was outside of that established perimeter, correct, for the Butler, Pennsylvania event?
It was outside of our secure perimeter, yes.
Now, that building was, I believe, 500. How far away was that building from the president?
It was approximately 200 yards.
200 yards. Now, the individual used an AR-15 in order to act out his assassination attempt. An AR-15 has a range of about 400 to 600 yards. My question is, why does the Secret Service perimeter, why is the Secret Service protective perimeter shorter than one of the most popular semi-automatic weapons in the United States?
There are a number of weapons out there with a number of ranges. Again, an advance was completed. The determination of the perimeter, I'm not going to speak to specifics, but there are a number of factors that are taken into account when we determine our perimeter. Some of it has to do with terrain, some of it has to do with buildings, some of it has to do with assets and resources that are available.
And so what I'm hearing is that a perimeter was not established outdoors in an outdoor venue that would prevent an AR-15, which is one of the most common weapons used in mass shootings, from being able to be within the range of Secret Service protection.
A perimeter was established, and even though there were buildings that were outside of that perimeter, it wasn't just that building. There were a number of buildings in the area, and there was overwatch that was created to help mitigate some of those buildings.
Respectfully, Dr. Cheatle, as well, as a person who has experienced an enormous amount of threat incidents, including incidents that have never been reported publicly, there is a common pattern that happens here, whether it's Secret Service, FBI, Capitol Police, local departments. After a critical security failure, we often hear there will be an independent investigation. That independent investigation gets set up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Let's see if we
Director
can.
Cheatle, respectfully,
Sorry
what you had just
about
laid out about
this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Cheatle,
Apparently.
respectfully, what you had just laid out about 60 days. We are.
Okay, well, looks like I can't get the whole video in, but most of what she said here, if not all of it, sounds like she's making sense. And we all know AOC doesn't make isn't the most sensible person on the face of the planet. In fact, every time someone asks who is smarter than AOC, my answer is air. That's why breathe in, breathe out, because that is what you're inhaling and letting go is exactly what's smarter than AOC in most cases. But here she sounds intelligent. But it, but does it? But is she doing it because for the American people? Is what we, or is it just because she wants to get reelected? Or does she genuinely care about the safety of the people? Or is it something else? Now, let's go to another one. Nancy Mace had a she put the low down, like she put the law on this woman. And you probably saw a small clip of it. But I'm gonna give you her 5 minutes. Assuming that, the technology on this works entirely. But here we go.
American people are watching, and they're wondering if there are any questions you can answer honestly today. So, Director Cheatle, I have a series of questions, very specific questions. I want very specific answers. Most of my questions are going to demand a yes or no answer. Do you understand?
I do.
Okay, my first question. Both sides of the aisle today have asked for your resignation. Would you like to use my 5 minutes to draft your resignation letter, yes or no?
No, thank you.
Was this a colossal failure?
It was a failure.
Yes or no? Was it a colossal failure is the question, yes or no?
I have admitted this is a terrible.
This is a yes or no series of questions. Was this a colossal failure, yes or no?
Yes.
Was this tragedy preventable, yes or no?
Yes.
Has the Secret Service been transparent with this committee?
Yes.
Would you say the fact that we had to issue a subpoena to get you to show up today as being transparent, yes or no?
I have always been
Yes or no? You didn't want to answer the question.
Committee.
We had to issue a subpoena to get you to show up today. That is not transparent, by the way. You stated earlier, Secret Service is not political. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would you say leaking your opening statement to Punchbowl News, Politico's Playbook, and Washington Post several hours before you sent it to this committee as being political, yes or no?
I have no idea how my statement got out.
Well, that's bullshit. So, Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask unanimous consent to enter into the record articles by Punchbowl News, Political Playbook, Washington Post, all done at 5:24 a.m., 6:12 a.m., 6:34 a.m., a solid 3 to 4 hours before this committee got your statement.
Without objection, so ordered.
Okay. Is the Secret Service fully cooperating with our committee?
Yes.
Okay, you say you're fully cooperating with this committee. On July 15th, this committee sent you a list of demands of information that we wanted. Has the Secret Service provided this committee a complete list of all law enforcement personnel that were there that day? Have you done that? Have you provided a list to the Oversight Committee? Yes or no?
I will have to get back to you on that.
That is a no. Have you provided all audio and video recordings in your possession to this committee, as we asked on July 15th, yes or no?
I would have to get back to you.
That is a no. You're full of shit today. You're just being completely dishonest.
Mr. Chairman,
Completely dishonest.
Mr. Chairman,
Chairman, I want to.
Come
on.
We have to maintain decorum in this committee, no matter how
have you provided
upset we
any
get.
and all memos to this committee that we've asked you on July 15th? Have you provided all memorandums within the Secret Service?
I would have to get back to you on that.
That is a no. You are being dishonest or lying. Like you're being dishonest here with this committee. These are important questions that the American people want answers to, and you're just dodging and talking around it in generalities And we had to subpoena you to be here, and you won't even answer the questions. We have asked you repeatedly to answer our questions. This isn't hard. These are not hard questions. Have you provided us all communications from the Secret Service related to that day and that rally? Have you provided this committee? We've asked for this information on July 15th. Have you provided any of this information that this committee has asked of the Secret Service? Any of it?
I'll have to get back to you.
Have you even read this letter that we sent you? Did you even read this?
Yes.
Okay. And you have said you don't know, you have no idea. Well, the answer is no. We haven't gotten a single document or piece of information or data from you or your agency in related to the rally that we have asked you for. So was this attempted assassination of Donald Trump a failure of training or execution or both?
I think that those are answers that we need to
Training,
examine.
execution, or both? Which one?
I think those are answers.
All right. How many Secret Service personnel have lost their jobs due to this colossal failure?
At this time, none.
How many Secret Service personnel have been required to take a refresher course on how not to let people shoot Donald Trump?
Our personnel are currently operational. We are examining the facts of this investigation, and we will make the changes necessary.
What time did law enforcement become aware that there was an individual on the roof with a clear line of sight to President Trump?
I am still verifying timelines.
Of course, 9 days in, you have no answers. How many minutes went by between the time law enforcement saw and took photos of crooks and the shooting? How many minutes?
I am still verifying timelines.
57 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Before
So basically, throughout this whole interaction, shows exactly why she should not be a director. When Nancy Mace said, "These are not hard questions," well, if you're doing your job the right way, they are not hard questions. But if you're doing your job incompetently and you know you're doing your job wrong, any question will be a hard question. And she's been in that whole nearly the entire time, she was deflecting the very thing that leftist accuses conservatives of doing. The only difference is we actually give actual answers. We don't say, "Oh, we don't understand things," because we're not stupid. And she thinks that the people are stupid. So I'm glad that she resigned. Now, I think the Democrats are gonna... Somehow I think the Democrats are involved, but a select few. I think they're putting on a show, and the rhinos are putting on a show. And I don't trust many of them. But I'm going to be investigating Nancy Mace to see if she even tried to help Marjorie Taylor Greene to impeach Biden and anyone else. Because if I don't see Republicans trying to impeach the corrupted, then they are equally as corrupted as the Democrats. And to be honest, the people were at fault for voting this in or not voting at all. We don't think outside the box. And that's sad. Now, Now, Marjorie had something to say after her resignation. Let's
Be an
take a
investigation
listen.
into Director Cheatle or former Director Cheatle's role in the attempted assassination of President Trump. There may be criminal charges coming in the future. I think she showed up to the oversight committee, refused to answer our questions, did not bring any of the information that we asked her to bring and subpoenaed. She came in yesterday, participated in a full cover-up, and then resigned today. I think that speaks a message loud and clear.
Marjorie Taylor Greene couldn't have said it better. She definitely said it right in the beginning. She needs to be investigated because if we can prove that this is an inside job, it's not enough that she resigns. She needs to be fired. Okay, this. I mean, I'm sorry. It's not enough that she needs to resign. She needs to be placed in jail for the assassination attempt. No ifs, no ands, nor buts about it. If I was this incompetent in any of my jobs, and this goes for you too, we would be fired. And if it was a life or death situation, more than likely, we could end up in prison. And this is the Secret Service. It shouldn't have happened. What happened to Trump should have never been. I disagree with Trump with some things. I don't think the vaccination is the greatest invention on the face of the earth. I don't agree with his biblical views, but I'll fight for his right to believe it. I don't agree that I really think he should be more, create more jobs rather than building a more lavish lifestyle. It's not the government's job to create jobs. It's we the people's. But when, businesses are being taxed to death or, that's how it was in the beginning. It was we the people, we create the jobs, we we create more businesses, more entrepreneurs, and we take that money and we take the profits and benefit society. And this is where I can partially agree with the leftists, but I have to agree with the right as well, and that is the government and big companies both got greedy and they work together against us, but we don't support the local businesses. That keeps our money in this country. But yeah, but going back, I know I went a little off topic there. So, but in reality, and I just came on Twitter, and since it was 8 minutes ago, how come the Secret Service aren't this incompetent around Democrats? Interesting question. And I want to know that myself. But I will say this. But yeah, I hope she gets investigated. I hope she I hope I hope we can have an unbiased investigation, and if we can find proof that this is an inside job, and I think it is, I think everyone involved should be put in prison, every single one. And since I don't have my co-host today, I will be ending this short tonight. And I will see you all next week. I will see you next week. I'll see ya.